Good morning and welcome to this wonderful day, this brand new month. Happy new month to everybody watching and happy Workers' Day. Welcome to Market Insights. I am Lavina Emma. So today we are discussing cryptocurrency and its potential to revolutionize the African continent. As you know, Africa boasts of a young, tech-savvy population and a rapidly growing economy. However, traditional financial systems often leave many unbanked or underbanked. Now, this is where Bitcoins and Ethereums come in. So as you know, Bitcoin, the world's first cryptocurrency, can function as a secure store of value in regions with volatile currencies. Unlike the traditional Bitcoin, unlike traditional assets, Bitcoin is borderless and can be easily transferred. Now, Ethereum, another major cryptocurrency, offers a unique advantage. Its blockchain technology can be used to develop smart contracts, essentially self-executing agreements that can streamline various processes. Now, picture this: a future where farmers can access microloans or secure land rights through blockchain. Now that will be amazing, eliminating all the paperwork out there. So we don't have to start printing, signing, documentation. Everything is done online. A totally seamless transaction. Now, of course, we know with everything there are challenges. As with our legal tender, there are challenges. So with this digital currency, yes, there will be challenges. But these challenges can be easily overcome. For example, the regulations that have been put in place by governments all over the world to monitor this digital currency, and also internet access in this part of the world in Africa. It's still something that we are trying to manage. However, African nations are actively exploring regulations and crypto adoption is rising, which is very good. So today, we will discuss the potential of Bitcoin and Ethereum in Africa, how these cryptocurrencies can empower individuals, foster financial inclusion, and pave the way for a more secure and digital future. So my guest this morning is joining us virtually. His name is Adeshina Ajayi. He's the founder and CEO of Digital Focus LLC. He has trained and certified over 2,000 blockchain experts and completed projects for CMC Connect, an alpha training lab, amongst other digital currency platforms out there. So welcome to Market Insight this morning, Adeshina Ajayi. To have joining us Lucky Onyekachi. He's also a cryptocurrency expert and he's also the co-founder of 329 Capital. He's also joining us virtually this morning.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice to be here.
Glad to have you gentlemen this morning and happy Workers' Day to you. I hope you're enjoying the holiday.
Yes.
Hey, I'm glad you're here. Okay, so now let's get right into it. I talked about the benefits of cryptocurrency and how we stand a chance to be using the new exchange, the Ethereum, and also the spot Bitcoin. The spot Bitcoin. So now we're going to be discussing how these will benefit us here in Africa, particularly here in Nigeria. As you know, we have a very young and tech-savvy population in this part of the world. So now, how can Bitcoin address the challenges of financial inclusion in Africa with a focus to Nigeria? So I'll start with Lucky Onyekachi first of all.
All right. So first of all, it is good to be here, and I've been in Bitcoin trading back since like 2018, and all I can say is that it's been a great one, and the spot Bitcoin ETF that was just launched would allow institutions and companies to invest directly into Bitcoin, and it's also been great because over the launch period till now, we've seen a lot of like inflows into Bitcoin, and considering that one of the largest financial institutions in the world, which is BlackRock, got the filed and got accepted to get the Bitcoin ETF. It has had one of the largest inflows. Then you talk of ARK Invest and Fidelity. So coming down to Africa, I think that Bitcoin and the blockchain industry can open the floodgates to a majority of inflows and investment, especially in that particular sector. And like you said earlier, there is every possibility that the blockchain is a ledger that makes transactions very easy to see and verifiable. There's this trust you have in the blockchain network, and this Bitcoin has made it possible for you to send Bitcoin to anybody in the world very easy. With just your phone and an internet connection, you can transfer money, and the fees on this amounts are very little as compared to maybe wire transfers and transferring through Western Union and every other thing. So the Bitcoin network and Ethereum is a software. I'll call it a software that is very easy for you to transfer value. What we've seen for the past 3 to 4 years or 10 years now is the easy transfer of information using Facebook and the rest of them. But we're not getting into Web3, where you can now transfer value easily, and you can transfer money easily on the blockchain network. And Ethereum has also made it possible for people to tokenize things and build on top of the infrastructure that has already been made available. So you have the ability to launch a product now on the Ethereum network, and also build your own or have your own token. So the world is becoming easily accessible, and transfers are possible in the Bitcoin Ethereum network. So that's it for me. There's a lot of potential that this can drive to the market, and it can even make it possible for even companies now to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. And when you see an asset class that has been producing great returns over the last 10 years, I think it's something very good to hold.
Okay, thank you for that, Lucky Onyekachi. Thank you for explaining the benefits of this Bitcoin, for to be more precise, the spot Bitcoin, and how it's definitely benefit the challenges of financial inclusion in Africa. Now, the specific uses. Okay, let me move on to let me just talk for a few minutes with Mr. Adeshina. Yes, I, are you here with us, Mr. Adeshina? Maybe there's a bit of a technical
Can you hear
issue
me?
there. Okay, I'll still continue the discussion with you, Lucky Onyekachi. Okay, that's good to note. Okay, I'm glad you can hear me now. We're talking about the spot Bitcoin. As you know, it started recently at the Australian exchange. They recently launched the use of the spot Bitcoin in Australia, and it has been approved by the Australian Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, what are the specific uses? Now, this spot Bitcoin ETF, what specific uses can this technology benefits African businesses? Like I said earlier, with the focus to Nigeria.
For having me. It's a great pleasure to be here. Um, can you hear me, please? Okay, yeah. So, one of the impacts that the launch of Bitcoin ETF would have on the African market at large is accessibility, right? For a long time coming now, Bitcoin has faced a lot of issues with institutional investors globally. A lot of people believe Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are gambles, and they don't believe they can, put their money there where they don't have control over. But with the acceptance and the launch of the spot Bitcoin ETF, there's accessibility for investors to come in and invest their money. Considering Africa particularly, where recently there's been a ban on cryptocurrency by some African countries, and then a lot of people are not able to access cryptocurrency now legally and safely. But with the launch of the spot Bitcoin ETF, people can, securely get on these platforms and become investors and invest into Bitcoin, and securely. It makes it all the more safe. And when you look at it from the point of liquidity, a lot of liquidity will come into the market. Of course, we've already seen that since the launch in January. A lot of liquidity have moved into the crypto space, and Bitcoin moving to an all-time high price. And that tells a lot about what the future is. And when you talk about Africa, there's still a lot of knowledge gap. A lot of people do not have the skills, the technical skills to trade Bitcoin successfully. All right. So, but with the launch of Bitcoin ETF, the African system can be deployed, lucratively, and then people can come in, understand the game, and then and trade profitably, and investors can make money securely because they're going to be trading on the already established exchanges. All right. So they are not accessing it directly. They're not keeping it. They're not buying Bitcoin and not having a share of Bitcoin. They're just buying, the shares on the platforms. So I think that overall it's going to be a beautiful one for the African financial market at large. It's going to boost the African financial market. It's going to establish a lot of positive impact. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. But I'm still on you, Mr. Adeshina. Now, considering all the hurdles that you have to jump through to own a Bitcoin, exchanging accounts, digital wallets, private keys, network transfers, and the issue we have in this part of the world, the internet connection. Do you think a spot Bitcoin is one of the easiest ways to add the Bitcoin exposure to your portfolio for an aspiring investor that wants to invest in this digital currency?
Like I mentioned earlier, there's been a lot of gaps, in the knowledge of crypto and Bitcoin adoption in Africa. But with the rise of Bitcoin spot ETF, there's a lot of investors who believe that putting money in Bitcoin is gambling, right? So they don't believe that they can put their money there, and they believe they lose their money because of the volatile nature of cryptocurrency. But with the spot Bitcoin ETF, people can come with peace of mind and put their money knowing that okay, they don't have to bother about the day-to-day price actions, the market movement, and all. So I believe that this is a good step in the right direction because to even trade Bitcoin in the first place, you have to have access to the internet, and then to explore the exchanges, the ETF exchanges. It's still the same thing. You have to have access to the internet. So I think that so far so good is proven to be a very positive one. So people can come in and assess this value chain, on a large scale. I think it will.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Mr. Adeshina. Okay, moving on to Mr. Onyekachi. Now, yes, we know there are lots of regulations for this Bitcoin, this especially the new sports Bitcoin ETF, and we're still in this part of the world. We're still trying to put up regulations for Bitcoins and Ethereums at the moment. Now, do you really think government's approach to cryptocurrency regulations, especially with the introduction of this Bitcoin, the sports ETF, the sports Bitcoin ETF, I beg your pardon, the regulations will be harder for us in this part of the world, or they're still going to monitor how investors are accessing this digital currency before they start enforcing a new set of rules and regulations?
Yeah, okay. So what I think is that I believe that the Bitcoin ETF or the spot ETF too would open ways for or open for new methods of regulation. And you know that Bitcoin is not like an like older asset class, so it's like new. So I think the government too would have to also um, do their due diligence to actually understand the industry before setting out this regulation. And they'll also like have to work with the stakeholders, you know, in the industry, which is what we are currently seeing. And I believe that they should give a very good there should be a very good way to regulate the cryptocurrency industry. I don't think the government should be hard on the industry, because you would have innovation leave the African continent or the Nigerian economy if you have more stringent regulations, which we saw in China. When they actually once banned Bitcoin mining, then you saw a lot of like people living with their Bitcoin mining rigs to other countries, and that will now like spur new investments in these countries we are talking about, and have new people employed and have new people do new people do things for this particular industry. So what I think is, yeah, regulation will come in. They would try to put in one or two rules on how the industry should work, and I think people should also like these companies should also like work with the government, because if they comply with the government and are able to enact these regulations, they would also have a good stay in that particular country. That's what we are seeing with the difference between Coinbase and Binance right now. So you see that Coinbase in the US, they follow through all the regulations that you have in the US. They ask even the government, give us your regulation, let us know what we want, and we will comply by these rules. And then you now see this current court cases, with Binance, because there were one or two things that they didn't do, or they did that was wrong in the eye of the government. So I think they should, how it applies to Nigeria is, let us know, let us have these regulations in place so that companies know what to do and what not to do, in this particular industry. So that is what I believe, and I think that the government should work with crypto companies to make sure that we don't miss this opportunity. That's what I believe.
For that, yes, and I totally agree with you there. Yes, a partnership with key experts like yourself and Mr. Adeshina would enable the government to understand this new Bitcoin currency better and how they can actually regulate it better. Okay, now still further now, what are the biggest barriers to widespread adoption of Bitcoin and Ethereum in Africa? So I'll ask Mr. Onyekachi first of all, then I'll move on to Mr. Adeshino. The biggest barriers to the widespread adoption of Bitcoin and Ethereum in Africa. Let's talk about Nigeria. Let's focus on Nigeria more.
Okay, so I would say like one of the biggest barriers would be, first of all, like we just talked about, regulation. Like before foreign companies want to come and invest in a particular country, or before even people want to start crypto in the country, they must have, there should be like this good set of like regulations that people can easily want to do business, or companies will easily want to do business with in the country, and that would also increase the widespread adoption of crypto. You can imagine what happened back then when the government actually banned banks from working with crypto companies. You could see what happened that time. A lot of companies, like crypto companies, went under. A lot of other companies, like did not fare well after that love letter that CBN sent to crypto companies. Also, I think one of the barriers is education. A lot of people don't understand Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency industry. Why? That's why you see majority of people say it's a scam, and it's not actually a scam, because they've not taken the time to understand what Bitcoin is and what crypto is. If they take the time to understand how these tokens work and what they do, they would want to get into the industry. I said, because there's nobody I've seen that took thousands of hours to study this cryptocurrency industry that will not be surprised at the opportunities that cryptocurrency presents to an economy, to a human being, to a country, in the sense that it has a like it is not being inflated. It has a fixed supply. It's hard money. All these things. I even think a countries like some countries are now backing their assets like legally with Bitcoin. You see countries like I've forgotten the name of this. There's a country that have a lot of Bitcoin right now. They are buying Bitcoin. The president of that country, Bukele, announced that they would start investing in cryptocurrency, and their Bitcoin currently is in profit. They've made money buying Bitcoin. You see companies like Tesla buying Bitcoin. You see different like institutions buying Bitcoin. So when you understand the opportunities that is there in cryptocurrency and in Ethereum and Bitcoin, you would know that it's very okay for me as an individual or as an economy to adopt this asset class. So I think education is a barrier. I think lack of quality infrastructure is a barrier. I think also regulation is a barrier for why cryptocurrency or Bitcoin has not like spread or has not been adopted, in my opinion. Thanks.
Mr. Adeshina, do you also share the same factors that Mr. Onyekachi has just mentioned as the barriers to the widespread adoption of Bitcoin and Ethereum in Nigeria?
So I totally agree with him. And I would like to talk briefly about education being a very serious barrier, a major barrier. You see, during the last administration, we witnessed, a ban of cryptocurrency. And when this new administration came on board, it relieved the crypto system of the ban, and only for the naira to start implementing, and all the blame goes to cryptocurrency trading again, and then there's a wish hunt of crypto traders again, and you can see this pattern repeating itself over and over again. So I believe that education is critical. When people who make decisions in the country, the policy maker, they need to be educated and understand what cryptocurrency truly is. I mean, there's no way we would catch up with other developed countries. I mean, we can't say we know more than the Western countries who have already adopted Bitcoin via regulation. So it's important that the decision makers in the country, the government leads, they form a collaboration with crypto leaders in Nigeria, and then have a meeting and seek to understand what crypto is about and the solution that crypto is bringing to the table. So I believe that if this is in place, because I mean, no matter how much we try, there's nothing we can do without the government. The government has too much power. The government has the final say, and you can see that happening already. So we need to work together with crypto experts, crypto leaders, top crypto guys in the country, and form a collaboration so that everybody can be on the same pace, and then we can move on progressively. That's what I believe.
Okay, I like that kind of partnership. We should all be on the same page, and we can definitely, with that, we can move on progressively. As you know, in Nigeria, we have a very tech-savvy population. Lots of our youths out there are well-versed in using the internet. They understand this digital currency, those who are investing in it. And I would say perhaps it's more of the allow me to use this difference, the Generation X people who are still trying to understand it, although a few of them do understand it, but majority are still trying to understand what is involved with cryptocurrency and with Bitcoins and Ethereum. So I would say perhaps this education and of what this digital currency entails is more for that generation than people in Generation Z or the upcoming Generation Alpha. So what are your thoughts on this, Mr. Adeshina?
We need to bridge that gap. I totally agree with you. We need to bridge that gap. There are a lot of people from the previous generations who, you can't really blame them actually, because it took them a couple of years, 10, 20 years to attain a certain level, certain status, and started their businesses, brick and mortar businesses. And then you see one young boy who, is just 2018, and he says he's trading Bitcoin, he's doing a legit business, and he's making a lot of improvement. And what it took you years, 20 years together, and in 3, 4 years with dedication and commitment, this guy is, is achieving it. So it can sound somehow, you know. So, but we need to reach a common ground to have this understanding that things are changing, life is evolving, everything is moving, and so we have to move together. So it's important that we bridge that gap. It's really, really important.
Now let's talk about futures. Now we know that futures is a complex derivatives instrument. Now we know that these digital currencies, whether it's crypto, whether it's the spot Bitcoin or the ETFs, the Ethereums, that they are a means of investment which when after a short period of time we can access the funds. So now the spot Bitcoin ETF allows investors to gain exposure to the current price of a Bitcoin without having to hold the asset itself. So you don't have to physically hold the digital currency before you can access the price of Bitcoin. So now this is in contrast to the futures ETF. Now, as we know, the futures ETF was approved for trading by the United States, just in the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. But these things have their differences. So I would like, let me start with Mr. Adeshina to expatiate further on this for potential investors, the difference between this spot Bitcoin and also the futures ETF in terms of accessing funds for example, a first-time investor.
So the futures ETF and spot ETF are quite similar in nature. You know, before the future ETF was approved, there's something called the futures trading on crypto exchanges where you speculate the prices of certain assets, say Bitcoin, you know, and you bet against the market. Say, okay, the market's going to go up, then you long it, and then it's going to go down, and you short it. You know, so now that with that, you are also, you know, it's an idea of the cryptocurrency. With futures, you're not actually having the assets. You're not having it. You're not having it. So you just, you know, bet against the price movement, and then you make your money through that, right? But for the spot ETF, that was just approved in January this year. What that does is you're more like you're buying a shares, like you rightly explained, a shares of Bitcoin, for instance. All right. So for people who, because I mean, it's a lot to trade Bitcoin. Trust me, to trade cryptocurrency. I mean, the volatility, the price actions up and down can be very disturbing to a lot of people. So that's why people don't really believe in you know, Bitcoin. But with spot Bitcoin spot ETF, you can buy a shares as if you're buying a stock or a bond, you know, on the exchange, and you are not in control of that actually, right? So you're not in control of that, and at the end of the day, the price of Bitcoin still affects the overall market, the overall market. So we can see a lot of influx of money into Bitcoin since the ETF was approved in January this year. You know, so I think that the spot ETF is a good step in the right direction, for the overall crypto market, investors and speculators worldwide, including Africa and Nigeria.
For that, Mr. Additional. So, Mr. Onyekachi, do you also share the same with the difference between the sports ETF, the sports Bitcoin ETF, and also the futures ETF for a first-time investor that wants to go and invest in this digital currency?
Yes, I share the same idea with Mr. Additional, you know. So I think the spot Bitcoin ETF is a very good move in the right direction. While the futures Bitcoin ETF was the very first one that was like approved before the spot. So you know, it's just like he said, it's just like in the futures market, it's just an exposure to just the price movements of Bitcoin. You know, it's just like people saying they want to like long the underlying asset, or they want to like short the underlying asset. So that is what. So it's just like a contract that make people gain exposure and make like speculative bets on the future assets of the underlying currency, which is Bitcoin. But you know, for spot Bitcoin, you can directly like get a share of the Bitcoin, or you know, hold the spot Bitcoin share. So that means that you know, you get more like influx of the asset. And you know, majority of investors, especially like pension funds or hedge funds in the US or even in Africa, they would want to just like own a share of that Bitcoin and put their money to just hold Bitcoin than just gambling and betting, placing bets on the perpetual contract. Did you get so? The spot Bitcoin ETF really like has opened a lot of opportunity, and that this is just like the difference for newcomers in the industry. And I'll just tell newcomers that if you want to do futures, whether by perpetual or this thing, you should be very careful because you can as well just lose all your funds in it. You get.
Don't you think it seems a bit speculative because it's like we're working on some kind of guesswork as to whether this will benefit, where the funds will benefit this person, whether you make some profits, don't you? There's a bit of speculation going on, don't you think so?
Yes, I mean that's just it, because I mean you can just the Bitcoin market is very volatile. So except you are a very technical trader, do you understand, or very good in technical analysis, as a newbie, it's very dangerous for you to do futures, like because it can you can decide to long Bitcoin and then a little like downward trend can just wipe out your funds. So that's like gamble. And but for the spot ETF, you could just like hold Bitcoin, and that perpetual contract or the futures Bitcoin ETF. A lot of people also called it, when it was approved and kept getting approved. A lot of people called it like manipulation. Like, why are they just like accepting this futures ETF that manipulates the price of Bitcoin instead of just like signing a spot ETF, which people can just directly like buy a share of Bitcoin and hold it. So that's why I just like say the move to approve the spot ETF was a very nice one, and we can see that with the inflows that have happened, and Hong Kong to just like um also gave a go ahead for their own spot ETF, and they said the trading volume on the first day of the spot ETF even surpassed that of the US market. So that is to show you that a lot of economies in the world are currently like approving the spot Bitcoin ETF.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Onyekachi. Now, okay, let me ask you this question now. How does a sports ETF, a sports Bitcoin ETF maintain its price, maintain its value in the market? As you know, the reason why investors invest in these digital currencies is because of when it's paired against, for example, the dollar, how you could see how what it's worth. So how does a sports Bitcoin maintain its price? How does it maintain its price? Yes, can you hear me, Mr. Adeshina?
Can you hear me? I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can hear
So
you,
like
yes.
okay, thank you. Yeah, so I think it's important that people get this idea that the spot Bitcoin ETF was approved does not mean that Bitcoin is still not, a speculative asset that it's always been, right? Now, when you see people who have always talked against Bitcoin, who have always, suppressed Bitcoin, open to the conversation about approving Bitcoin, and BlackRock is about the biggest management company in the world, and the file for Bitcoin spot ETF, then you understand that this is revolutionary. This is a huge disruptor, right? And then there's almost nothing you can do against it. So they're just looking for a safe haven, right? A safe way to come into the system, all right, while they protect themselves. And that's the need for the spot Bitcoin ETF, right? So we need to understand that whether spot ETF or not, crypto is still crypto, right? Crypto is still crypto. So the value, the price of Bitcoin continues to be, to fluctuate, and it then affects the ETFs. All right. So that's it. It's important that people understand that, because with approval, a lot of people just want to jump in and feel like, okay, even the chairman of SEC, after the thought Bitcoin ETF was approved in January, he said that it was approved of something that they are endorsing Bitcoin. All right, that crypto is still as volatile as it was, so treat it as such. But they're just trying to make it safe for people. So I think that's my take on that.
Okay, but as you know, this digital currencies, as Mr. Onyekachi said, they are easily accessible to be manipulated, to be used for all sorts of fraudulent means. So how can an investor avoid this kind of pitfall? Because it's all over the internet, and people who are into this business will be will be advertising to potential investors that they should come and invest. These are the benefits. So how can a first time, or rather, how can any investor avoid this pitfall of being duped of their money, for example?
ETF approval. I mean, issuers of ETFs like New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, these are already established organizations. They are, I mean, over the years, all right. So, and that's one of the reasons why it was approved. It's to be a safe haven for people who are coming in. But outside of the spot Bitcoin ETFs, awareness is important. Education. If you're coming to trade Bitcoin as a newbie, as into education. You need to give into education. We're moving into the bull season now, and a lot of scammers are everywhere, hackers, fraud, stealing people's money. So it's important to give into education, understand what you're doing, and do it the right way. A lot of people who get their money stolen too are looking for what seems too good to be true in other places, and then they fall victims to hackers and scammers. So it's important to understand what you're doing, get into the right community, get access to the right education, and then you can keep yourself safe.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Adeshina. Okay, and Mr. Onyekachi, I beg your pardon. Now, will the spot Bitcoin ETF affect the price of Bitcoins and other digital currencies like cryptocurrencies?
Yes, I believe the spot Bitcoin ETF will like it'll affect the price because like you've seen ever since the spot Bitcoin ETF was approved, there's been like a lot of like inflow into Bitcoin, and the price has been going up. The only time we had a problem was when the GBTC problem, grayscale, when there was like some outflows. They were like selling lots of Bitcoin on like a daily basis. Do you get? But over time, we would see more inflows into the currency because people want to like buy the underlying assets, and they've looked for ways to buy, and they couldn't access it. But now that this spot Bitcoin ETF is opened up, you have clients of BlackRock now investing directly into the asset. You have clients of Fidelity investing directly into the assets, and they are able to like buy a share of this of this what I call the hardest asset humanity has ever seen before. So I think the price will keep increasing in value. And when you price Bitcoin against other currencies, you talked about the US dollar, but it's not just the US dollar is like the global like dominant currency, but it's not just the US dollar. You can price even Bitcoin against like real estate, against other assets, even against the Nasdaq. Do you understand? And if you look at the US stock exchange over the last 10 years against Bitcoin, you see this like 90 to 99% decline because Bitcoin has been going up thousands of percent. But if you now look at like the US dollar, like you said, Bitcoin is able to like maintain its value. Still, also still a direct like linkage between demand and supply. Do you get? So if people demand for something, for an asset, the price of that asset would keep going up because there's a lot of demand for it, and there's a reduction in supply, which is what the halving does. So now that the total emission of Bitcoin has been cut into a particular number, we would see more increase in the value of Bitcoin over the next few months, because after the halving, the price of Bitcoin tends to go up over the next 12, 13 months. So yeah, we're having this little like instability in price right now, but in the next like few months, the I believe the value of Bitcoin would go up and even cross 100K.
Okay, well said, Mr. Onyekachi. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, now I'm going to, before we round up the program, okay, this is for you, gentlemen. I'll first of all start with Mr. Adeshina now. So beyond financial inclusion, now how can Bitcoin and Ethereum disrupt traditional financial systems in Nigeria? Not a bad kind of disruption, but to give, I would say, to give people more options for how they invest their money and how they save their money. Now, potentially, how can they potentially impact on remittances or microloans? So earlier on, I talked about how with the use of a spot Bitcoin, for example, farmers can easily access microloans without having to get all the paperwork. Everything can be done seamlessly online. So how can this beyond financial inclusion, how can we go further with these digital currencies? So I'll start with Mr. Adeshino.
All right, thank you so much. Beyond financial inclusion, um, uh, I mean, since Bitcoin gained adoption in Nigeria, we've seen a lot of improvement in the well-being of the people. A lot of young people in Nigeria today, who were hopeless, maybe after graduating from university and there's nothing to be done, got exposed into cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin industry. And you see a lot of the people are doing well financially today, one of the things this is doing is to help people to build financial muscle, financial capacity, and there are a couple of companies, organizations, fintechs, young startups who are, availing SMEs and business owners, access to loans via cryptocurrency, via Bitcoin and the likes today. So I think that Bitcoin adoption in Nigeria will lead to a more favorable system for the good of all at large. Yeah.
Your thoughts on this, Mr. Onyekachi? How can we, beyond financial inclusion, a good kind of disruption to our traditional financial systems in Nigeria, which can potentially impact microloans, for example, traders, small business owners, and even farmers? So, Mr. Onyekachi.
Yeah, so there's something I like to like say, and a lot of people have said before, which is like you have to like adapt and innovate. It's very important to adapt and innovate, unless you would die in the market, or you would go bankrupt. Look at what happened with blockbusters. Netflix came in, and blockbusters, they were thinking that, oh, like we still have the market forever, and look at the disruption that happened. So I think it can go hand in hand. It's either banks come up and find more innovative ways to include cryptocurrency, or they would completely have these new technologies or new companies take over in the next few years. So what I think is, yeah, a lot of like new innovation. Like right now, you can go to a DeFi application, stake your USDT, and get Bitcoin. That's how easy it is without even KYC. Do you understand? So it's very easy for these companies or these people to even raise funds right now, or to loan, or to use the main. So I mean, we can speculate and all that, but if you look at what cryptocurrency tends to do, is DeFi, is decentralized finance. You could just go to different like applications and do different things that a central authority does, and you can even get access to capital quickly. Young people are now raising money to build products by just like releasing their own tokens, sharing a white paper, and all those kind of technical stuff. You understand? So like it's very like possible to do great with this in this particular industry. So what I think is, the beyond just financial inclusion, there are also lots of like ways that this industry competes with the traditional finance industry, which the traditional financial industry to also have to wake up, do you understand, and start using this technology. Like you have even JP Morgan announced Onyx, which they are working with Avalanche to solve some problems in their own like banks. You have like banks adopting Ripple technology to fastly process transactions. Do you get? So that's to show you that they are now like adopting this technology and they want to like use it to better settlements and other things. So I think in the next few years you will start seeing banks adopt like cryptocurrency and even use it to better their you know like transactions.
Okay, well said, Mr. Onyekachi. So we are looking forward to that happening. So just before we end the program now, our final thoughts, please. So the future outlook for cryptocurrencies in the Nigerian market. So I'll start with Mr. Adeshina, then I'll move on to Mr. Onyekachi. Final thoughts, the future of cryptocurrency in the Nigerian markets.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, so I think that the future is looking good, respective of the current ban. I understand that it's part of the moment. The government, like I stated earlier, needs to have a sit down with crypto leaders in the country, to find a way to adopt these things, into the system. There's no way we would really advance if we don't evolve with emerging technologies. So I believe that the system owes a lot for the country, and then the country should be willing to accept it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on today's program as we talked about the benefits of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies in Africa with a focus to Nigeria.